Whew, let me just
Yeah,
shake
shake
the
it
nerves
out.
off a
Shake
little
it out.
bit.
Oh, get that
All right.
energy moving.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Passion Project. This is actually season 2 that we are starting. And today I have a new guest with me today, someone who has really stepped up a lot. I got to meet him this year, which is really great. And he does a lot of stuff, which is inspiring, very powerful. And man, I can't wait for you guys to hear him. So please let me introduce you guys to Shaun Grant here. Shaun, thank you for coming on the podcast with me today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be
I'm very
here.
excited to meet you. So we actually met through a film, which I'm not gonna talk a whole lot about, but he is an actor. He is a motivational speaker. He is an author, and man, what else do you not do? I feel like you do so much.
I've lived multiple lives in my short 43 years. No, honestly, everything is rooted in helping people. Like
That's awesome.
it flows from the spirit, and it's one of those things. Every single day I wake up, it's like, how can I help? And yeah, that's what drives me.
That's great. No, that's really inspiring because really you don't meet a whole lot of people who do a lot of stuff what you do,
Yeah.
and that can be very authentic, that can be very kind, and willing to give back to others. So that's awesome. I really want to go into like your background and understanding who you are, how you started, what did you start doing first, and what inspired you.
Uh, so I think if we go way back, it all started with wanting to be an NFL superstar. That really was the very first thing.
Oh yeah.
And from the time I was 6 up until I think 20 something, that was my goal. That was my dream. And I'm really thankful, really grateful that it didn't work out in a sense because it taught me so much about life early on and how to fail, but also to really see the successes in those failures. And it just the emotions were just peaks and valleys over and over. So that dream in itself, although it didn't materialize, really taught me how to approach life and to how to stay level, how to stay, keep your center, be at peace, be grounded, and just make the most of what you've been given. And it really revealed to me, I think, one of the biggest truths that I've ever been blessed to be able to experience, and that is, we're not here to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to learn and grow.
Of course.
And if you can see life in that capacity, it takes a lot of the pressure off. You're not trying to win, and succeed. You're just showing up as authentic as you can, being your genuine self, and okay, whatever happens, happens. Either way, I'm still going to take something from it and be able to move forward, and then ultimately be able to be a blessing to other people because of it.
That's beautiful. I really love the fact that you really showed like that you can overcome a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can actually do something like that. It's
Yeah.
a challenge. It's really going through your own demons. You have to fight your own struggles, and some people are they're not quite comfortable with doing stuff like that yet. Um and like most people, like even like myself, I have to find a little bit inspiration from other people
Yeah.
because when you see someone else's struggles, you kind of feel a little relatable to them. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, they've gone a little bit of what I've dealt with, and I believe that if they can do it, why can't I you
Yeah,
know
for sure. I think that's the beauty of being human, right? And having this experience is, you think of Roger Bannister, who ran the 4 minute, is it the 4 minute mile? I think it, or something like that.
Wow.
Nobody ever did it before he did, but then as soon as he broke that barrier, that barrier, the mental aspect of it, literally, I think the next year, like 60 different guys ran under a 4 minute mile or at a 4 minute mile after he did it.
Wow.
So the relatable factor is huge in that, and I think that's why it's so important to to be vulnerable, to
Mhm.
share. Like I for the longest time, people used to tell me, "Oh, you just have a perfect life." I was like, "No, I don't have a perfect life."
Mm-mm.
And I said, "You know what? I got to start being more vulnerable and just being sincere about everything in my life, not just the great things, you know."
Yeah.
Because social media can kind of trap you into that a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've definitely relate to that because I've had my experiences where you get you. It's good to be vulnerable. It is
Yes.
good to open up and
Mhm.
kind of express your true self. At the same time, you have to be very cautious with social media because,
Yeah.
people can take advantage of your vulnerability.
Mhm.
They can take advantage of, your being your true self,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they'll put you out as like, "Oh, this guy is this person or she's
Mhm.
she's this type of person,"
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than just like, "No, I'm just trying to be an open book to people." Like I
Yeah.
want people to know me who I am
Mhm.
internally, not just externally, like
Yeah.
you got to really know me personally from the heart,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. I think that's what you just mentioned is amazing. I think it's a blessing too whenever you find it's interesting because social media, I think, in a lot of ways, like when you first get on, like when I first joined, like Facebook and things, I was just accepting everybody. Now it's more or less, okay, do you align to my energy? Do you align to
Yep.
my core values? And is the moment I see somebody who can't express that in a constructive, compassionate sort of way, gone, right?
Yeah.
It's just because you don't really need that energy, especially as you're doing, yeah, as you're on your journey, your path, because negativity is such a detriment
Yeah.
to, especially like in the film industry, and you need so much confidence to wake up every day and go after doing something
Mhm.
and feel confident enough to do it without having like people who are probably not doing anywhere close to what you're doing hating on you for you just being yourself.
Yeah, no, of course.
It's yeah, it's tough at first, but I truly feel like it's a blessing to have those people kind of show themselves, and then you just be like, okay, move on, bye.
Yep. Awesome. That's
Can't deal
perfect.
with it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's dive a little bit more into it. Before we get into that, I want to apologize. Obviously, you guys can hear it already, but my
Yeah,
dog is kind of barking up a storm.
yeah.
We're doing this podcast in my apartment, so he's in the other room. So forgive me if you guys can hear all that. I know it's a little probably distracting, but I'm
Yeah.
trying my best to tune it out.
Mhm.
Um,
All good.
But so yeah, now you do a lot of different things. What what made you wanted to get into this type of passion again? Because I know. Okay, actually, no. What what did you wanted to start doing first before? Like, was it the acting that wanted to kickstart everything, or did you want to do this other like motivational
Yeah,
speaking?
I've always had a propensity to I just wanted to do good in the world. I just wanted to help people. And I wasn't confident enough to get into that right away.
Mhm.
So when I had an injury, um, career-ending injury with football, I needed to find something else that would allow me to just express myself on that creative level. And so I I worked multiple different jobs that I just wind up hating. And then I just got to a space where it's like, oh, acting is something kind of neat. I used to do a little bit of drama as a kid.
Oh, did
Yeah,
you?
yeah, we we
Oh, we
performed.
got a theater boy here.
Yeah, at my grade school, every spring we would perform like a kind of like a musical thing for the audience, all our friends and family up on the
Okay.
stage and the quad and everything. And so that was pretty neat. And I always loved that. Like there was something about that element of performance that was just so fulfilling in a sense, right?
Mhm.
And so when football ended, I'm like, okay, what do I do? And I just tried to get a regular job. It didn't work. Like it was just painful, like in every sense of the word. And I tried like 4 or 5 until finally a friend of mine was like, look, they're shooting this film at the University of New Orleans because that's where I'm originally from. I think you'd be great for it. They need like a cop role or whatever. I'm like, okay, I how do I go about this? I had like I didn't have a headshot, I didn't have a resume. So I get my brother to take a Polaroid of me for my headshot
Oh.
and then a piece of printer paper. I wrote on the back of it my 5th grade Earth Day play. Uh, I laugh when I think about this. And I stapled them together and I went in. Thank God it was a student film, right? So I went in and I handed it to him, and she was like, "Oh, very very nifty, very cool." I was like, "You're too kind." And I did the audition, and I felt really something like clicked in me, and I was like, "That was really neat." And the next day they called me back, and they were like, "Yeah, you got the role, and it's amazing." And so that all of a sudden started to unfold, and it just like as I was on set, even though it's like drawn out, like hurry up and wait is what they say, right?
Nice.
I just it just something in me was like, this is the next thing for me. And I was 27 when that happened.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
You kinda got, like, that high for it. You're
Yeah,
like, "Oh my god, I want this rush." Like, this
yeah,
feels great.
yeah. Just after football was tough, going through a lot of depression and stuff, and mental health
Mhm.
issues, trying to find that thing. And then once I found that thing, it was like, yes, this is what I want to do. So acting was kind of the first thing to really get off. And then as that gave me more confidence, that's when I started saying, you know what? The social media thing can kind of let you start to put up. This is like 2015. You can put up videos now on Instagram. So
Mhm.
I'd shoot like 15-second videos, like really quick messages. It was
Oh,
almost not like Vine, but the sort of quick. And then they expanded it to a minute. And the next thing you know, I realized like my God given purpose is to inspire people with divine wisdom, to really take what God has given me from like I said, a wisdom, insight, understanding standpoint, and just share it. And not in a sense to tell people what to do, but hey, this is my experience. Here it is. Use it however you need to,
yeah, maybe it could help you, maybe, just it could help the next person you might know, you
Exactly.
know?
Exactly. Yeah. Discern what you need to take from it and go from there. And that's been kind of like the foundation of my life from that point on. And it's fun because acting kind of mixes and matches with it.
Nice.
But it's opened up creatively in so many different ways.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how's the feedback when you do these, like, motivational type video, like, these reels? Like, do you get
Mhm.
a good amount of positive reviews, or have you gotten criticism from it?
Yeah. Well,
People telling you, "Oh, this guy's a phony," like
yeah, so I at first nobody was watching anything. Like it was just me up there talking. But I just kept going with it. And as I started to get more traction, people were like, they would send me like direct messages and be like, "Oh, you know what? This is really good. You really helped me in this regard. Like, keep going with this." And then as it got bigger, then that's when like you get people coming in, "Why are you doing this? Like, what are you talking about?" And at first it's like really tough to deal with, but then you realize, okay, whatever you're projecting onto me has everything to do with you and
mhm.
not me. Like you're judging yourself, so then you've got to put it on somebody else. And so once I realized that, I never took it personal. So like when I get like a negative comment on YouTube, I'll actually laugh at it and it'll stir them up even more. And then once it gets to a place where it starts getting personal, I'll say like, dude, you missed the entire point of the video. And I know you're not here
Yeah.
to like embrace what I'm giving.
Do you
So
usually get a lot of personal like, feedback? Like, say, like,
um
from close friends, family, or
not really. Like not from family, but you know, out there, people are consistently it's mostly positive, right? And sometimes you get the negative, but I think the negative really kind of helps you to center yourself in your confidence and to really kind of take a step back and say, okay, why am I doing this? Right? Is this negativity enough to stop me? Not a chance. Okay. So we just brush it to the side, don't deal with it, and just keep moving forward with it in a positive
nice.
capacity.
That's good.
Mhm.
So I see, because I did a little bit of research of you,
Yeah.
obviously. So you did say you were originally from New Orleans. You decided to move to LA. Now, was moving to LA the reason to get into acting more?
Yes, absolutely. Um, so I was acting as we just talked about the story for like 4 or 5 years, and it was going so well. And I just had a stirring, I would say, in about 2011,
Nice.
and I knew I had to go. But everything in New Orleans was perfect. New Orleans was booming. It was Hollywood South at the time because of all the tax incentives and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so they were shooting all these amazing films and projects, but something was pulling me to LA. And I thought for sure it was acting, right? I was like, okay, I need to make this move. And so I walked away from lucrative opportunities. You know, I was a stuntman there as well as
Wow.
acting opportunities. And I just had to go, and it all stopped. And it was like one of the most intense desert experiences of my life because I was like, wait a minute, I felt this and I thought it was something that I needed to do. Well, in actuality, it wasn't just about acting, it was also about meeting my wife 3 months after I moved there, and then also stepping into fitness, which was another outlet, creative outlet to help people to, um to just inspire and empower them in
Of
their own
course.
lives. And so much of that began to develop as I was in LA. And then once I kind of got going with that, the acting came back around and it was like, oh, okay, now I see why I had to do this. So it transformed my life, but not in a way that I thought it was, because I thought I was going there
Mhm.
and I thought it was just boom, we're in Hollywood, we're about to explode and blow up and all this stuff. And it was just not the
Mm-mm.
case. It was like, oh God, I need to go back home.
Oh, no.
You know,
LA is a
yeah,
tough place to really get something going unless
yeah,
you know somebody out there. You have to be in a good amount of films, obviously,
yes,
for people to see your work.
yeah,
They
yeah,
got to
for
know what
sure.
you're doing.
Mhm.
Um, and congratulations on the wife, too. That was awesome.
Thank you,
I
thank
love
you,
that.
thank you.
Um, and I'm sure with the gym thing, it probably helped not only your confidence, it
Yeah.
helped your physical physique as
Mhm.
well. So, being able to motivate other people that wanna get into that aspect, they're like, "Okay, yeah, this guy is really doing it. I think I can feel very inspired to do stuff like that."
Yeah.
Um, so now with the acting,
Mhm.
were there big films that you got to be a part of?
Yes. Yeah, there are actually a few, oh, where do I start? I wouldn't necessarily say they're like huge, huge films, but they were pretty big in their own right. Um, a lot of Hollywood A-listers involved. That's pretty neat because you go through working this craft.
Mhm.
And for me, it was never about, okay, I want to be the biggest star in the world, right? It was always about, okay, I just want to get better each time I do it. I want to offer something of value to every production that I'm a part of. And that's always just like, it's not like, okay, this is the one where I blow up. And that's hard because I mean, if you get into it, you want to get to the pinnacle of it.
Of course.
But I found for me it ruined the authenticity of me showing up and just being like, okay, I don't care if that's Spielberg over here or the guy from Valencia College. I'm showing up the same either way and giving everything I got.
Mhm.
And it made it such an enjoyable experience. And so in doing that, all of a sudden these bigger films come along and then you're working with, 50 Cent, Val Kilmer, um, who's that guy? Willem Dafoe.
Wow.
And it's kind of like, oh gosh, okay, these are guys I've watched on television for so long or in movies, but it's like, okay, it's still kind of the same process. Just get in there. They're big names, but they're still actors, right? They're still actors and
Of
actresses.
course.
Get in there, do your thing, bring the most authentic performance that you can. And it's amazing, especially when your stars come up and they commend you on doing a good job. And so it's been fun, but I'll be honest, I enjoy the indie projects
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
just as much or maybe even more because you just sometimes feel you could feel that passion there. You can
Mhm.
feel the passion, people wanting to not only create something, but create something that's gonna leave a legacy.
And I'm sure you have more flexibility on how you wanna create your own character. Because I know with Hollywood films, they're very picky, they're very precise on what they want you to
Yeah,
do, and
yeah,
at least with indie films, they're a little bit more lenient, they
yeah.
wanna get your ideas and
Mhm.
understanding what you can do to bring to the table.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah. Oddly enough, the biggest Hollywood film I did, it's a film called Blood Out. and it stars 50 Cent and Val Kilmer and this British guy, Luke Goss, and another guy, Vinnie Jones from Gone in 60 Seconds. And I'll never forget when I auditioned for that film, I auditioned as a gangster, which is just so far away from who I am.
That's
But
crazy.
I went in, man. I'm from like New Orleans, and I have the background and the family members. It just skipped me, the hood aspect of it.
Mm.
But I took my Sharpie, I drew on a teardrop.
Oh my god. This man was committed.
Yeah, I had the do rag and stuff, man. So I was ready, and I walked up in there, and I gave my best, gangster performance I could. And I was like, I just left it all out, and they called me back to read again, and it was for another gangster in the movie. And I did the same thing. I got into it. I did my best. And then I'll never forget, like I think 2 weeks later, he said, yeah, we booked you, but we booked you for the good guy. I was like, what? I was like, wait. You booked me for the good guy. I
Oh,
was like,
I don't know how you got a good guy
yeah.
from being a gangster. Like, what the heck? That's
I
crazy.
know. He was like, and with this character, we just want you to be you. He's like, the person you are in between as you're auditioning, we want you to be you. So if you see that film, it's just me being the cop, helping the lead guy and stuff like that. And those have always been my favorite films because it's just like, okay, yeah, I can be me. I could show up and be me. That's no problem. So it was kind of neat that because I was expecting, okay, they need me to be something different than what I am. But the director was like, just be Shaun. And he would tell me that all the time. When he said, okay, you're acting, don't act. He said, just be Shaun. I was like, okay, got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he just really loved just you being yourself,
Yeah.
but with just a different character name, obviously. Just
Exactly. The essence of who I am or who I was even at the time
that gave
embodied
off.
that character so much because
That's amazing.
that's like the voice of reason in the film or the good guy in the film trying to keep the other good guy from going bad. So
That's crazy.
yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a
I
pretty
think
neat
that's a really
experience.
cool experience.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'm curious too now, since you've done a lot of this different types of films. Have you had any, like, I would say, big or not inspiration, big advice from any of your big like A-lister actors that ever gave you some kind of like pep talk or something?
So there's a movie called Looper. It was starring Bruce Willis.
Yes, I love that movie.
Yeah, and so that it was also directed by Ryan Johnson from Star Wars. But I interestingly enough, I was a stuntman in that film
Really?
and riding on the back of vehicles, getting shot and falling out of windows and all this other crazy stuff. Crazy. I had a chance to do a scene with Bruce Willis, and it was just like I was a bit starstruck because it's like, man, this is Bruce Willis, Die Hard, all this stuff, everything and whatnot. And he was very conservative. He was very just down to earth. He started calling me young man. And like, he's like, that's a great job, young man. Okay, keep that up, young man. He said, young man, what's your name? Hey, by the way, I was like, Shaun. He said, okay, Shaun. He says, you know what? He said, and it was just something small. He said, you're doing a great job. Just remember, always show up. He says, no matter what, just always show up. If you do that, you'll find that more and more opportunities come your way if you take the time to show up. And so I asked him, I was like, okay, I get that, but what does that mean? He said, just be prepared. He says, not rocket science, but if you're prepared and you show up and do what you need to do and do it as best as you can, it's going to take care of itself, right? People are going to notice that. People are going to they're going to flock to that. It'll be magnetic because you'll be known as that guy. Okay,
That's
he
awesome.
takes care of business. And it wasn't, I was expecting some type of Yoda like wisdom, but that was just so there. And it's so easy for not even, I mean, even if you're not an actor or an actress, like you could implement that.
To anything.
Yeah, yeah. You said just show up and just do what you need to do and give it all you got and just one movie at a time, one day at a time. And I never let that go. And to this day, no matter, like I said, if it's Spielberg or the student film or whatever it is, I take it in and it's there with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Wow, Bruce Willis.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So is acting probably the only thing you wanna do in the film industry, or are you ever wanting to direct, produce?
So I wrote about 17 scripts.
Oh.
This is about 6 or 7 years ago, and my computer crashed, and I lost all
Oh,
of them.
no.
And I at first, I was really upset. I'm not gonna sit and lie to you. I was upset, but then I realized, you know what? That probably happened because I was taking too long to shoot them. Like, I just got this passion, and I wrote them, and I was, like, so excited by all these stories and these characters coming to life, and then I shelved it because I was doing other stuff with acting. I said, "Oh, I'm too busy, I don't have the time." We gotta make the time, if it's your
Mhm.
passion, and it was a gift that was given for me to be able to write that many at that time, over the course, I think, 6, 7 months, and, I shelved them, and the computer crashed, and I lost all of it,
Damn.
and it was just man, it was depressing, and I said to myself, I'm like, "Oh, like, I should have backed it up. I don't know why I did this." And then that's when it came to me. I waited too long for to start to put those because I came
Mhm.
up with excuses. I came up with everything possible not to have me to shoot it, and so wiped out. So, I enjoy writing. I've done some producing here and there. Really good with crowdfunding and those things and really engaging with people to sort of build money for films. I enjoy that aspect
That's
of it,
awesome.
stuff like that. Yeah, but I think as far as that goes, I'm always open. In California, I did a lot of different jobs on set. One of the most fun I had doing one was transportation in the Hollywood Hills. I was driving a one of those Sprinter trucks
Mhm.
or vans, and I was driving all the way up through the Hollywood Hills. I'm like, I don't know if I even have a license to do this, but a
Do
friend
you
of
need a
mine,
license for that?
I found out that you didn't at the time, but I was like, it was such a big vehicle.
Oh,
I was
you
like,
you felt a little, like, kinda
damn.
overwhelmed in a way?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
because I'm like,
this.
okay, I'm like literally, the hills. I don't know if you've ever been to Hollywood, but they're super steep. And like
Mm.
if you go too far, you can go off the side. And I got all these people that are driving in the back or whatever, riding in the back with me. It was like, whoa, this is scary. But then once I got the hang of it, I'm like, this is kind of neat. I just park and they go do their thing, and then boom, I'm like hanging out, having the view, sipping my drink, and it's
That's
pretty
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
Um, so I seen that you also do a lot of different things on social media, like, I believe you have 2 different podcasts,
Yes.
The Divine Download, and then there's one called the Heart of Christ podcast.
Yes. Actually, Um, Heart of Christ podcast is now Love Your Vibe.
Love Your Vibe, okay.
Yeah. But I still have Heart of Christ Ministry. And so a bit about how that got started is I fell in love with who the essence of Jesus was at a very young age. And I was so enamored with just the presence and just everything that emanates off of that being. And, I'm like, I want to be like that. I want to embody everything that he embodies.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so some time went by, COVID happened, and I'm like, okay, that was the time where all types of creative stuff was
Yes.
away. And I was like, I want to start a ministry and call it Heart of Christ. And the reason I call it Heart of Christ is because when you think of the heart of Jesus, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is compassion, right? Compassion, kindness, mercy, but also steadfastness in being convicted with the truth, right? It was
Mhm.
always about, and everybody has to find the truth for themselves because I think that's the gift that God has given us to walk our path to find the truth that serves us. But it inspired me the way Jesus embodied it by all those attributes we named and so many more. And it was so visceral because I would just light up every time I thought about it that I just started doing that. And then it turned into YouTube videos and then a podcast and I would just get on there and just flow. And it was amazing sometimes to look back because I'm like, I don't even know if that was me. Like,
Yeah.
I was just kind of
You
it's
forget that you were
oh,
just
man,
talking and
I
then
was possessed by the spirit to be able to, like, and a lot of times it was for me, I would go back and listen to it just to check, the vocals and stuff on
Mhm.
there, and I'm like, "Oh, wow, I'm try this is definitely for me." Like, so it's like
It's like you sound like you're talking to yourself, you're for
exactly,
yourself, you know?
exactly, and so that was just that was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal experience. Still to this day, it kinda chokes me up a bit because it came at a time where it just things seemed hopeless, and it was just that lightning rod of inspiration that created that, and it helped so many people during that time,
Mhm.
and, it's been amazing. It's
That's
been
beautiful. No, that's cool. I've never really gotten to listening a lot of Christian podcasts, which I kinda wanna jump into it now
yeah,
because, like, even for me, I've been rebuilding my faith with God.
yeah,
Um, Last year, like, towards the end of last year, I started going to the church that I mentioned
yeah,
before, and, at the time, I was only going for different reasons, not
mhm,
really for something myself,
yeah,
and then I started to kinda open up on it. So, like, just hearing stuff like that, it feels like, it really motivates you to wanna do more of what you're able to do,
yeah,
but to, like, kinda spread the word of, like, the love of God, Jesus.
absolutely, absolutely.
So what about the divine download now?
Okay, so the Divine Downloads was a book,
Oh, okay. So
okay?
it's like an ebook type.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and so but I'm glad you brought it up because it's this is something that's so important. I, for 54 days, decided I was gonna wake up. I was living in Los Angeles, and I was kind of lost. I think I was just lost in life. Like, everything was happening, things weren't really bad, but I just had, like, this depressed feeling. I struggle with depression a lot.
Mhm.
Um, and I just told like, I didn't tell myself, but I was praying and meditating one day, um, and I got the idea to just wake up every morning and journal whatever comes through.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Okay." So I journaled it, went for 54 days, and the wisdom that came through was truly life-changing. It was life-changing because it really felt like I was directly talking to God in that experience. And the amount of peace that it gave me when I was journaling, and I see now why I had to wake up at 3:30 because at 3:30 in the morning, like, nobody's awake.
Mhm.
Wait, anybody doing anything, like, right is
I'm
not
not
awake. Nobody was awake. It was such a just like a tranquil, calm environment, and it just started to flow. The words just flowed and flowed. And I like the same thing with the podcast. I would look back, I was like, wow, did I actually write this? Like, this is pretty good. But it's not that I wrote it, I was a vessel for it. And I
Mhm.
was open to that wisdom coming through. And once I got finished, it's like, okay, now turn it into a book. I was like, okay, I don't know the first thing about publishing. And so I figured it all out. I think I put it on iBooks, and it's been there ever since. And it's just it's remarkable to think that I used to believe you had to be extraordinary to be able to be used by God.
Mhm.
But you just have to be open. You just have to be willing, and make you have to make the presence of God your priority. That's the only way it can really happen is if you're in that space, right? And as long as you're in that space, some amazing things can unfold, like, so far out of the scope of what you think of before it happens, that it just begins to open you up to so many new ways that you can be blessed and bless other people as well.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Hey, well, I'm very grateful to that have the presence of God for me. Like, he's really
Yes.
helped me open up. He's helped me be the person that I really want to be, which, like, and I get told this a lot, I'm a very kind man. Very kind. I'm very compassionate towards other people. I'm not like most guys who are like, "Oh, we're dudes here, alphas." Da, da,
Right,
da."
right.
Like, no, I'm just a very I don't know how to really say it. Like I'm a kind person,
Yeah.
I'm very friendly, but and I always felt like I have a reason to do certain things in my life, and I never knew like why. Like, until, it opened up to me, like, thinking, this is what God really gave me. He gave me this gifts, and, like, same for me is, like, I was going through a lot of depression in my time too. I don't know if you heard the term, but I was Baker acted. So I've gone through a lot of depression. I've almost committed suicide before, and it's been really hard for me. A lot of the times I would take it out on family. I would have taken it out on relationships in the past,
Mhm.
but I never really considered looking within myself.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
am I possibly the problem? Maybe I need to figure out what's wrong with me. How can I better myself so then I can be around the right people, I can give off the right type of, attitude towards others, because obviously, the people you are around can really reflect your character.
Yes.
And I don't like to be around certain people that would really bring you down,
Yeah.
that can really mess up the potential that you could have in life,
Yeah.
especially what God's given you.
It's a cancer for sure.
So, I've gone through a lot, and there's still times, obviously we all make mistakes.
Yeah. For
We
sure.
all sin, and there's nothing wrong with it. As long as you just ask for forgiveness, continue to do good in the world, that's all that really matters. So I think that's amazing. I'm definitely gonna listen to some of your ebooks. I
Yeah.
want to listen to the podcast. So make sure you guys watch
Yeah. Yeah.
listen to that. It's
Got a
really
lot of
good.
books out
You're
there
still
too.
doing it too, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
It's in process. Usually, when I get busy, I take some time from it, but
Of course, you're
it's a
so busy
super.
with a bunch of other things. Like, yeah, I have like a ton more stuff new that
Oh,
you apparently have. Like, you got, let's see, one, two, three, four, five different other books here.
yeah, I actually brought them. I was gonna set them up, but I forgot. They're in
That's
my bag.
amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just you go with that creative flow, and like I said, you allow yourself to be a vessel and a channel for what spirit wants to flow into you and through you, man. It's endless what you
That's
can
awesome.
accomplish. Yeah.
So this is a question that I'm very curious.
Okay.
So I know as a African American
Mhm.
like yourself, there could be times where you can go through certain struggles, difficulties doing getting into certain things.
Yeah.
Like obviously the film industry. You would have probably struggle with finding the right type of people that would listen to you as a motivational speaker because they see you as color. Have you ever had what would be the right word? Like, I'm sure obviously you've had good people that really support you, especially for stepping up and talking.
Mhm.
Um, were there any struggles getting into, like, the industry realm that you were in?
From a race perspective,
Yeah, like
I'll be 100 with you. I I haven't had those issues, and the reason why I feel like I haven't had those issues is because the Spirit of God revealed to me something that was so pivotal in my life at a time where I really thought, like, the outside stuff could affect me in a way that everybody says it can, right?
mm,
And so what was revealed to me was, keep your focus on me. Keep your focus on me. Feel that love. Feel that joy. And when you feel that and you're really vibrating with that, let it resonate, right? And so not only has God shown me theology and spirituality, but also the science of it all. Jesus said, um, why am I drawing a blank right now? Uh, according to your faith, that's what I want to say, be it unto you. And that spoke volumes because what the Spirit was telling me in that moment was, what do you want to see? What do you want to have happen what do you want to see reflected? And a lot of that has to do with how you think, how you feel about yourself, how much time you're spending in building the relationship that we have together. And I experienced a lot of racism as a child. Like, I mean, some stuff you'd be like, did that just happen?
yeah.
Yeah. And so I almost fell into the trap of, being so racially centered and focused on my skin color, and then miraculously in by divine design, God broke that just to pieces and said, "No, you are a complete being of love. Don't don't see color. It's not about what anything looks like. It's more about the energy that it emanates
That's
and how it
good.
vibrates." And so that transformed everything. And I hadn't really and I grew up in one of the most racist parts of the country. Once I had that revealed to me, I had no issues. No issues at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
'Cause I know it can really break a person too when
Absolutely.
they deal with certain,
Yeah.
like, issues like that, and they start putting them in a specific, like, category or
Yeah.
stereotype and then thinking like, "Oh, they're never gonna go anywhere because we're either, like, the color of our skin or
Yeah.
just the way we talk,"
Yeah.
so they're not gonna see us as like, "Oh, we can be in that A-list, level
Yeah.
compared to other people." Like, no, like, we're all human in our own way. We just go through different struggles in
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
we're all different.
Yeah.
So,
I'll say this about racism, and and I hope people really, really get it. Racism is just hatred. And if you can bring yourself to the place of hating another human being who's running the same race as you on the same journey, you got a lot of hate in your heart. And you need to seek God above everybody else because that's the only way hatred is born. It's not inherent in a lot of racist people I know, who I encountered in my younger years growing up. They believe that that's
mhm.
inherent, but that's taught. Like our true essence is love. It's God is just love. Like there's nothing else to
Amen.
it, right? So it's like if you're gonna be racist, got to deal with that hate, man, because that that's deep.
Oh, yeah.
That's deep to cut people emotionally like that.
And I know it gets difficult too because 'cause I've seen certain type of Christians
Yes.
that will like really use God's name in a wrong way.
Yeah.
They're like they would always tell people like, "Oh, God is white, Jesus is white, he's never gonna accept color people, this and that." Like,
Yeah.
why does that matter to you?
Yeah.
Like, he's not really out here to pick who's his favorite. Like, he created all of us
Yeah.
equally,
Yeah.
just living in different parts of the world. So,
Mhm.
we need to obviously show more of the love, the
Yeah.
joy that he's given to us,
Yeah.
not, "Oh, he's gonna send you to hell," this and that. Like,
Yeah.
who are you? Like,
I got a take on that too as well. I just do it real quick because then I got to move on. But that's judgment, right? You're using God to facilitate your judgment on what you feel like you're missing in yourself. That's one of the biggest reasons I left the church to embark upon a personal spiritual relationship with God because I'm like, where I was, it's like, man, these people are so unhappy and they're so judgmental. Like, we should be the happiest. If we're really connected to the truth of who Jesus is and who God is in us, around us, working in our lives, like, we should be joyful and like high fiving and everything else, and people are just miserable. And that's when it clicked for me. They're using God to justify their own limitations,
Mhm.
and it just like I was like you said with the people who bring it. I was like, I got to get out of here. I can't be in here like wasting my time. I could be at
Yeah.
home having my own church service and praying and connecting and sitting in silence with the Spirit and stuff like that. So I think like what you said. It just those people, they use God for their own benefit, and it just no good can come of it.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about mental health.
Yes.
So, do you do you usually focus on mental health with everybody, both gender sides, or do you like to focus more on like the men's mental health awareness and everything? Like, is there anything like I don't know how to say like preference? Like, I mean, obviously, I know
Yeah.
it's everything,
Yeah.
obviously. Because I know, like, for me, like, again, we talked about this before, like, I like to be I wanna be a big advocate
Yeah.
for mental health, especially for, like, even the podcast as
Yeah.
well. Because I like to talk about, like, people's struggles, I wanna talk about people that are comfortable enough to open up and, like, express,
Mhm.
what are they going through?
Yeah.
Especially for men, because I know, like, yeah, there's part of men that can be very tough, and we try to hide our
Yeah.
feelings and everything. We hide it through muscles,
Yeah.
working out and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But
So
there's
true.
also a side of men where we could be very vulnerable,
Yeah.
but we have to choose to be vulnerable to a certain, I guess, aspect.
Yeah.
Like, I know they say for as a man, it's good to cry to God only, and then you have to be strong and protective for your family.
Mhm.
So you don't want you can't obviously have your wife see you as this sad, like, "Oh, I can't take care of myself, this and that."
Mhm.
So, like, what would your thought be on stuff like that?
I'll be honest with you. I was that guy that everything had to be positive. Everything had to just be absolute perfect. And then I realized how depressed I was because I was a robot, right? And so I'll never forget, I was having a conversation with my wife, and my wife is super emotional in the most healthy way possible. And this changed my outlook on mental health as it related to men and women and just everybody involved. And I remember we were sitting there and she was like, since we've been together, we had been together for like 5 years. She's like, I noticed you don't feel anything. And I'm like, oh, really? That yeah, you don't feel nothing. I was like, maybe you're right. I said, I got to dive into this. So I started diving into it. I was praying, I was meditating, I was asking for guidance. And the reason I didn't is for just like how you said, as a guy, you got to keep it all together, right? Well, as a kid, I was abandoned by the most important people in my life.
Oh,
And so that would leave a core emotional wound on me that would not allow me to have it together, but I still had to have it together. I wasn't allowed to cry. I was like a sensitive child to where I cried for any and everything. And people like zip it up. Well, give me something to cry about, and you're just you basically freeze your emotions in time. And so I think the problem is that sometimes the machismo behind what a man is supposed to be and how he's supposed to act stops him from embracing the very things he needs to feel to heal. So it's like I've dealt with abandonment, I've dealt with sadness, depression, all these things, and I froze those emotions. And it took for God to use my wife to say, "You don't feel anything." And then I started feeling them, and I remember I cried for like 5 days straight. When I opened up, it just all started coming. We were just in the kitchen making breakfast one day, and it's like, and she was just like, she started clapping.
she's like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, this man's human."
yeah. But the most significant part of this all was it made me healthier mentally, emotionally, and physically. A lot of getting back to the science of it all, a lot of our issues happen because we experience these things with our emotions and these convictions mentally, and they stay with us. And so they just pattern themselves out in our mind. They just come up and come up and come up, and we never deal with them. So over time, it begins to turn into like a physical ailment,
Mhm.
right? So that's a big reason why it's important. Now, you don't have to be vulnerable with everybody. You don't have to, scream it out. But then sometimes that's like I'll do that on social media a lot. I was like, you know what? I'm just feeling some type of way. I've got to express this emotion, and I feel so much better for doing it and allowing myself to be in a space where I can be honest about what I'm feeling. And the number of guys that would come up would be like, man, bro, I feel the same way, man. I didn't know how to articulate it, but you said it just how I was feeling it, and that helped me a lot. And I realized it. My brothers went through the same thing. It helps them so much. But they're like they're tough
Mhm.
men, so they'll kind of like wink or they'll clap or send the fire emoji, but I know it's helping them because they went through the same stuff, but they just didn't know how to articulate it. So it's like I would encourage a balance to be vulnerable to where it helps you mentally and emotionally, and then eventually physically, but not to go too far to one side or the other. And I think the same goes for women too, you know? I think like we all have to be in touch because we're emotional beings, right? Emotion
Yeah.
is energy in motion. It's got to move. If it stays stagnant, anything that stays stagnant in life eventually dies and
Yeah.
decays, right?
I've noticed for guys, it's very hard for guys to talk to other guys
Yeah.
about their emotions, because again, we don't want to obviously show that we're soft
Yeah.
or we're weak,
Yeah.
like we're afraid to kind of open up and express ourselves. Like for me, like I'm comfortable talking to most women.
Yeah.
I have a lot of female friends and they know that I'm a very kind and caring guys because I'm comfortable with talking to them and they help me express a lot of my feelings. But when I'm with the guys, I'm like, hey man, it's all good. Just suck it up, just throw some dirt on it. We're good. This
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like there needs to be a way where we can change that perspective for guys.
Yeah.
Like I really like an idea of like just a support group for men,
Absolutely.
that's willing to be vulnerable. Like for me, I've really wanted to be a part of like a Bible study for men,
Yeah. Yeah.
So like understanding what it means to be, I think it was called David,
Yeah.
becoming the son of God and understanding
Mhm.
how to be a warrior for God.
Yeah.
And so then when you find that wife and you have a family, you can be their provider, the
Yep.
the man of the household because
Mhm.
you want to be able to take care of your family
Right.
and just lead a good example. So it's it's just hard, like
Yeah.
because, like, there's moments where I'll have some guys that are pretty cool with it. They'll open up a little bit, but it takes a little bit of pushing to them, Like,
Yeah.
you have to really nudge them
Yeah.
to really break down. Um, and I guess it just depends on, like, the people too. Like, one of them has to initiate it,
Yeah. For
Because if
sure.
both of them don't even try,
They did nothing will get
they're
done.
like, "It's whatever."
Yeah.
They move on.
Yeah. But I think we have a huge culture issue with, toxic masculinity and getting back to what a man should actually be or look like,
Mhm.
and so once that's dealt with, and I think it has to be dealt with individually because it's all done based on the example you've been given. If you had a dad or a mom who, will call you a sissy or something like that for, wanting to be sensitive, which is a part of all our natures, like you're gonna suppress it. You're gonna try to get away from that because the thought that goes on is, oh, it didn't make mom and dad happy. So I can't be soft like that. I can't cry. Like I went through all of this myself with all of that stuff. And then this is how I came to the realizations of, this is kind of what the issue is. Guys need to be guys in a wholesome capacity, not
Yes.
just the masculine. No, every being is half masculine, half
Oh,
feminine.
man. Have you seen that recent film that just came out called The Forged?
I haven't. It's on Netflix, right?
Oh,
I've been wanting on it too.
dude, you have to watch it. It was such a great film, very
Yeah.
inspiring, like, and then just I don't wanna spoil it for you, but it's
Okay.
cool. I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen it from the trailers,
Yeah.
but, like, there's obviously a group of men that come together, they talk about God and what it means to just be a child of God, and they teach each other how to be a man,
Mhm.
how to mature and understand life,
Mhm.
and man,
That's
I
good.
it's so cool. I love it. Like, I truly hope that I can find more people like that and
Yeah.
here even here in, like, Fort Myers area is just,
Yeah.
people who are willing to just not only, like, listen to you, but help you become better, not just let you just pour it out. Because just talking about it, it's nice,
Mhm.
but you need action.
Yeah.
Like,
For sure.
what are you gonna do? You need friends, you need people that's gonna keep you accountable,
Absolutely.
and they're gonna inspire you and help you, just figure out how to get better in
Yeah.
life. So, yeah,
I love that.
you gotta watch that
Yeah, I'm
film.
gonna check it
If
out.
you guys haven't seen it, make sure you guys watch it. You guys should watch it.
I'm gonna check it out for sure.
Okay, cool. How oh, yeah, now? About an hour? Okay, we're almost done.
Nice.
Um, so I'm curious now because you've done acting,
Yeah.
motivational speaking, you've written books, done podcasts. Now this is like a theoretical question, but in an alternate life,
Yeah.
where would you see yourself if you weren't doing any of those?
Oh. Would I still be the same soul?
Yes, it would still be you, obviously, but say like if there were a different career that you wish it would have happened, but it couldn't, like maybe some divine reason or
Mhm.
something just happening in the way, like maybe like the NFL thing,
Yeah.
you know?
I think in an alternate life, me knowing that I have the same essence that God created me with, I would probably be a police officer
Oh yeah,
or a doctor because there's just such an innate desire and urge to help people, to really like one of the first things, if not the first thing that crosses my mind when I go to bed, when I wake up.
that's crazy.
And it manifests itself through social media, which is why, I can post like 7 or 8 times in one day, but it's because, I wanna be a vessel for it and allow it to flow. So I think if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, if I wasn't as, creatively lenient towards the arts, I'd probably be a police officer, a fireman, or a doctor to some degree.
Hey, but at least with the creative aspect,
Yeah.
you already acting as a
Yeah, yeah.
soldier. You've done films as a
Yep,
soldier, probably as a police
yep,
officer. So,
yep.
I mean, you're still doing it.
Yeah,
You're just not an
yeah.
actual
Right.
police
And I
officer.
didn't
That
have to go to school for it, thank God.
exactly. That's crazy though, because like I've thought about wanting to do something like that as well.
Yeah.
Like, and it was more like, I like the idea of it toughening me up. I would have got to obviously learn more discipline, and the same thing is just like being able to help people. It made you feel important. It
Mhm.
felt needed.
Yeah.
Um, because I like doing the police thing. One time I thought about joining the Navy,
Okay.
mainly because my grandpa, who used to
Yeah.
be in the Navy, he was a private. I can barely remember. He was like way back in like the early 19, I think almost late 1800s.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no, like I think that would have been something that I could have probably seen myself doing too,
Yeah, that's
if I
awesome,
wasn't
man.
getting into the creative field as
Yeah.
well. Thank
Yeah.
thank God for the future, and now we can do everything on our
Yeah.
phones or with cameras now, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just there's so much freedom with that. Like, I think, like, why that didn't happen in this life is because, yes, there's different stuff, but it would just be, like, the same every day with acting, with videos, with like what we're doing now. It's a different
Yeah.
experience, and that's just something so exhilarating about that like
And
that just
that's what I
magnetized to
love
it.
about these is like
Yeah,
you get to really express yourself.
exactly.
Like I don't even care if I have hundreds, thousands, or
Mhm.
maybe even 5 people who are watching this. Like it's the fact that I'm able to just freely express myself.
Yeah, yeah.
I get to
So true.
be myself, be authentic, talk how I want to talk. I'm not having anything. I don't have no puppets over me,
Yeah.
holding me or anything. Like
Right, right.
I'm just living my best life, expressing who I want to be. Because like the thing that I've always told myself, and I probably gonna make this as a trademark or something, but I always like to say like create your legacy.
Yeah,
Because when we pass one day, I know for me, like I want my kids to know what I've done.
yeah,
I want them to know what I've achieved. I want the next generation know what I've done,
yeah,
so we can inspire people.
mhm,
We want them to do the things that maybe we can do or probably even better.
yeah,
Obviously, we want the world to keep growing, keep prospering, and just,
mhm,
keep living their best lives
yeah,
and not, wanting to do like a normal 9 to 5 or,
yeah,
just following the generic lifestyle that people expect to have.
yeah,
We want obviously people to have the freedom to express themselves. And it's inspiring because I get inspired all the time from watching other people like
mhm,
yourselves, and I hope to obviously be a part of those people who get to one day inspire others. So it's a dream of mine, and
yeah.
just doing this again, it's like, man, I
You're
love it.
doing it.
I love it. It's
You're doing it.
amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I've worked hard.
Yeah,
I've worked
man.
so hard,
Yeah.
just like you, like everyone, like we've worked hard to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
And some things are usually quicker than others. Some people usually have better advantage, which is fine,
Yeah.
and I have nothing against that. I don't have any hate towards other people because, there's others that maybe have thrived a lot more than I have, and I've always questioned why I can't get there. And maybe that's just not my path to take,
Yeah.
you know?
Your journeys
My
are different.
my journey is different. Yeah, exactly. So, I know God will lead me to the right path that I need to get to.
Yeah.
He will lead me down the best choices for myself. He'll help me find the right wife one day. He'll help me find my family, and just things will come into place for me. And all I for me is just I have to just be myself, keep following God, and then just keep living each day like it's a brand new day,
Yeah.
you know? So that's awesome. I'm
It is, man. I throw in one of the greatest things I've ever realized in my own life is you'll get everything that your heart truly desires if you're patient enough to allow it to develop and unfold and come into your life.
exactly.
And it's just sometimes that's the hardest thing because it goes against our nature, our human nature of wanting things now, right? But if
Mhm.
we're patient, imagine where you could be in a year,
Exactly.
3 years,
'Cause
5 years.
it builds a little bit of, like, humbleness in you,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
understand that, like, not everything needs to come in fast, because
Exactly.
it's not right.
Yeah. And
It's
if
not
it does,
natural.
sometimes you can lose it just as fast because
Yeah,
your spirit's not ready to embrace all of it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I like this. This is great. This is a good conversation here going on. I love this.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, cool. So let's this is the last question I want to ask before we jump into this card game really quick.
Okay.
Um, well, two questions actually.
Okay.
So advice.
Okay.
If the next generation walked up to you and say, "Hey, Sean, I want to be a motivational speaker," or "Hey, I really want to get into acting," what would be the best advice that you could give them?
Okay. Well, make sure honestly, and I wish somebody would have told me this when I started 17 years ago. Um, you don't have to figure it all out right now. Just figure out what the first step is and then the next step. And that step could be get a headshot. That step could be join a Facebook group for acting. That step could be speaking at your church and giving some of the proceeds to the congregation to help the congregation. It if we adopt a step-by-step process with the things that we love and we want to see happen, every single time we're going to get them. The problem is in my and I'm so glad because I can teach about it now. In my experience, you had to have everything figured out. So imagine being 17, 23, 25, 26, and they're expecting you to have it all figured out now.
Oh, nope.
And the
Nope.
amount of pressure that it can break you because you can't you can't even be appreciative of what's happening because you think, "Oh, I gotta be a big star now. Oh, I gotta be making $1,000,000 a film." No, just figure out what the first step is. And that comes with praying, that comes with meditating, that comes with being wide open to everything around you.
Mhm.
What signs am I being given that this is the first step, you know? And you'll win every time. Even when you lose, even when you fail, you'll get back up and you'll win because brick by brick, step by step, that's how it works. That's how life comes together, you know?
That's awesome. I love that.
Yes.
I love that. I'm gonna clip that. It's gonna be a great reel.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Okay, cool. Fun question.
Okay.
What is your next passion project?
Oh, well, short term, I'm probably gonna shoot another inspirational video. How that goes is I talk to God, I pray to God, I sit in silence and listen to God, and whatever comes up, I shoot the video. So that's short term. Long term, I've got a few movies in the pipeline. A couple commercials here and there. Things are starting to pick up a bit. Um, but the ultimate passion is I would say my ultimate passion project is doing everything I can to live my life the very best I can, which is inspiring, empowering others, using the wisdom that God gave me in creating the biggest difference that I can in other people's lives.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I love it.
Thanks.
I love it.
Thanks.
All right. So let's jump into this card game before we
Okay.
end it. So
Substance.
this game is called Substance. Yes. I actually got this off of the TikTok app before they shut
Mm.
down, which is really it was really lucky of me. What's cool about this game, it was created by this guy named Lovely, who does a lot of mental health topics.
Yep.
So there's 3 categories in this game. There is mindfuck, there's intimacy,
Okay.
and then there's vulnerable. So what I'm gonna have you do is, let me see which side these are on. Okay. I want you to just randomly
Select a gun.
select a card.
Okay.
You're gonna read it into the mic, and then you're gonna answer it.
Okay. In the center. There we go. Oh wow, they're stuck together.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We'll go with that one. Okay, intimacy. Ooh, okay. How do you express yourself when you are angry? Okay, well, there's levels to this. I'll be honest, when I was younger, I lashed out, sometimes even to the displeasure of the objects around me, but that was because I didn't really understand my anger. But now that I'm in a very mentally and emotionally healthy place, I just stop, I take a breather. If it's with another individual, I take a walk because that way I can cool off and really talk to spirit and process what I'm going through, and then I can get to the root cause of that anger, and before I know it, it's diffused. And then I can come back to the situation in a state of peace. And yeah, that's how I deal with my anger.
Nice, nice. I guess I'll do one too since
Yeah,
we're
there
both
you
at
go.
it.
Why not? That's a fun game.
It is. It's very fun. I love doing this. All
Is it
right.
still available now that TikTok's back?
It might be. I'm not too sure. I deleted the app, so
Okay.
I can't even really open it. I don't even know.
Uh,
Okay, let's see if
I
it
love
looked.
TikTok.
All right, I grabbed vulnerable.
Mm.
What do you think? What do you think is your biggest weakness is? My biggest weakness, I would say, is my compassion. I feel like being kind sometimes has its vulnerability, especially because like people can take advantage of you. They can take advantage of your kindness. They take advantage of wanting to help you, and just willing to give back to people, but thinking, oh, I can use this guy more and more.
Yeah.
Like, so say for instance, like I like to take photos for people,
Yeah.
just to not only help myself for
Mhm.
portfolio, but help people feel confident in
Yeah.
themselves. So I'll do stuff like that, and they'll think, oh, this guy's giving out free photos. Maybe I can get more out of him.
Mhm.
Or even with videos, like I like to help people create content just to help like expose themselves. Like give them a little bit of that comfortability,
Yeah.
and then they start to like want to use you more and more,
Mhm.
which it's not always a bad thing, of course, because
Yeah.
again, it helps me. But at the same time, I feel like that's the only thing I'm known for. Like I don't always want to be a camera guy. I
Yeah.
want people to know me as just Daniel.
Yeah.
They can talk to me as just being myself. So like I have a hard time of making certain friends with people.
Mhm.
Because I have to make sure that the right friends that I pick, they meet me first
Yeah.
before they know me as the videographer, the photographer,
Right.
filmmaker, stuff like
Mhm.
that. Because it surprises people too at the
Yeah.
end of the day. But again, I like to make sure that when people, yeah, I think I'm getting a little bit better when it comes to like, being more, I don't know if like stand your ground is probably the right answer, but like just more aware.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't like, I just didn't like the feeling of people like again taking advantage of you.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna continue to be kind. I'm still gonna continue to be nice to people, even if they hate me or they want to throw hate towards me. I just want, at the end of the day, know that. And I've heard this term before, and it's like the way you want to see the world is what you should see in yourself.
Yeah,
So if I obviously want to see more good in the world, I need to see more good in myself.
yeah,
If I want to be confident and I'm proud of myself, I need to be able to like just tell myself I'm great. I'm good at what I do,
yeah,
and just I can attract more
yeah,
good and kind people that will help me elevate
yeah,
and grow.
yeah.
So yeah, that's about it.
Can I add something in there?
Yeah.
Okay. What I want to say, and what I know of you, and I hope all of you are listening, is you are a super genuine, super kind dude who knows how to have a good time, who understands his craft. And I got the chance to see this when we were working on Not My Circus. But although that seems like a weakness now, man, that's your superpower. And it's gonna open doors and build bridges for you like nobody's business, because that's what the world needs, man. The world needs compassion and kind people who just do it for just because that's who they are.
Mhm.
And man, you're gonna be blessed so greatly because of it, because it comes from your heart and it's not geared towards anything. And I'm like talking to myself because I used to feel the same thing. And then once I developed how to discern certain people, because what happens is when you grow in that relationship to God, and the spirit starts to see things a little bit differently, you can kind of catch wind of those individuals that are like don't have your best interests at heart, and you can stop it even before it starts. But
Exactly.
keep being kind, keep being compassionate, because it suits you, and
Thank you.
you're amazing because of it.
Thank you.
And don't let any fool, whoever out there is trying to like abuse it, that's their stuff they got to deal with. God created you this way for a reason, and he wants you to just give it abundantly, because as you do, it's going to return, you know? So,
Awesome. Well,
yeah,
thank you. I appreciate that. I
absolutely.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're gonna start wrapping this up.
Okay.
So if you want to, any promotion you want to talk about, anything
Uh,
upcoming again?
could I bring my books and
Yeah,
put it?
go ahead. Yeah, you want to grab them really quick?
They're right back. Can we cut, or should we?
I can. I'll.
You edit? Okay. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, that hate somehow or another helped me to build a passion for it. I'm like, okay, why do I hate this? Why do I hate auditioning? As well, because I don't understand it. So let me dive into a deeper understanding of the process of auditioning. And then all of a sudden, all these ideas were revealed, and they just started pouring out and pouring out. And I was like, okay, let me write a book. And so that's how Become a Powerhouse in Auditioning was born.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely need to get me a book. Shoot.
The next one, it was actually my very first, well, my first book for acting. It's called The Vibrational Actor, The Heart-Centered Approach to Acting. And it basically is a literary work that acting is such a do this, do this, do this, do this. And before I wrote that book, I remember I was in a space where I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me get a headshot, get a resume, go get an agent, all these things. Tell me I was in LA, there's 6 million people doing this. How is that going to separate me? There has to be something more
Hmm.
that will allow me to succeed in a way that I want to. And so that's where spirituality came into coherence with acting, and all these ideas about being able to set up a powerful mindset going into it, and how to connect deeper with your character. And like I said, all these ideas were born. And then the concept of vibrational actor, mainly vibrational because of the vibes you give, are ultimately going to determine whether or not somebody hires you in a lot of ways. I mean, there's some other factors, but ultimately, how you're vibrating to another person will pretty much determine whether or not you succeed or otherwise. And so this is just principles that I creatively tapped into, and I use them for myself as a performer as well. So
That's awesome. Wow.
yeah, yeah,
A lot of actors could really get a lot of acknowledgement from that, and understanding what it means to get into acting. So it'll get them kind of mentally prepared of like, okay, so he experienced this. I need to be more cautious of this and on what to, what to look for,
yeah,
how to stand out as just trying to be an actor too, because they're always gonna ask you, obviously, like, oh, what makes you different?
yeah,
What makes you stand
yeah,
out? Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm me, I guess. I
yeah,
don't know. But like, you have to obviously show that and
yeah.
express it in a
You
certain
got to
way
radiate it.
without
Yeah,
trying to obviously break the whole like you were saying, like it's like a do this, do that, do that. Like it's very so it's strategic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I like struggle saying that word.
No, no, it's all good. It's a tongue twister.
So what's the
but
next ones?
so the next one is called "The Universe Loves You," and this is a book I co-authored with my wife,
Ooh.
and I love this book because the essence behind it is God created a universe that is predicated upon love. If we look at everything around us, especially nature, we can see that that love is in action always, and it's not forcing things, it's not manipulating things, but it's cohesively working in a harmonious fashion to bring about the beauty that we see. And that not only happens in nature, that happens in us, that happens in everything. So this book is really diving into that. And I'll give you a bit of a nugget here. Two principles: the universe is predicated upon unconditional love, right? As we just said, and balance. Every time the universe gets out of balance, it has to rebalance itself, right? And
Mm,
it works with that love. So if you are consistently and as much as you can in love and in balance, you're going to see your life thrive. The only time we fall out of our center and out of, connection to God is when we're out of balance and we're not acting from a place of love. Maybe it's a place of fear, of anxiety. So that's kind of in a nutshell what that book is about. A lot of different affirmations, intentions, and
that's beautiful.
prayers and all those things. Yeah.
Would you say that the book is more for couples or for singles or just people who are just trying to look for love in general?
Everybody. So, the love, not necessarily, not just the romantic love, but just, you know, love for humanity,
Yeah,
right? Love for what you do, love and how you show up in the world. So I think everybody, and we've had so many different people come forth and benefit from it. It's ultimately the love you have for yourself that allows you to be your best. And if you're your best, then that helps everybody else. And so that's really the driving motivation behind why we wrote it. And that was another one that was written during COVID.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Well, shout out to Sean's wife
Yeah.
for helping that. It's great. It's great. All right.
Yeah. And
In
then
our final one.
yeah, so this is like my child.
Oh.
So I it's called The Money Cure. It's called Healing Your Relationship to the Abundance and but more importantly, money, my personal experience with money is I can remember growing up and there was such a conflict where people diss money in person or like up front,
Mhm.
and then behind the scenes they really wanted it. But see, that's such a conflict of energy. It's a conflict of mindset as well, that it stops money from flowing into your life. So I spoke about how God not only has enabled me to go down a spiritual path, but also scientific. This book basically explains the scientific aspect and spiritual elements to how money manifests in your life, and it deals with, once again, that type of energy, the type of energy you show up with. Another nugget for you: one of the things that I found the most is that I am most financially abundant whenever I'm at peace. That, like, I experience the greatest because money, just being energy, can flow when there's peace, when there's no obstructions, when there's no hindrances.
Mhm.
And it's understanding with that peace, you push it out because abundance is giving and receiving equally, balance, once again, like the universe loves you. You push it out with that love, that same type of love, and it begins to change and transform your financial life. And like I said, I've been up here financially, and I've been way down here. So I've seen
Both
both
ends.
spectrums of it, and a lot of those lessons are in this book to really help people to not get discouraged when they go through challenges, because it's the challenges that really bring out your character and really help you to prosper, not even just with money, but as a soul, right?
Nice.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
thanks.
Shoot, I definitely need to get me something like this. So where can we find these books at?
So these books can be found all on Amazon, Amazon.com, hardcover, Kindle, whatever suits you. If you got Prime, you can get them in a couple days. If you don't have Prime, it may take a bit of
Maybe a little
time to get to
longer.
you. Yeah, but they're available on Amazon and yeah, through Kindle and paperback.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, that's exciting.
thanks.
Cool. Well, any if you want to give any out any last social media shout outs, where we can find you.
Yes. Okay. Instagram, you can find me at I am Shaun Grant. IAMSHAUNGRANT. Spell my own name right. Uh, TikTok, you can find me at the Uplifter 504, UPLIFTER 504. What else? Yeah, those are the only ones you need. And you can check me out there. I'll give you a follow, send me a message, whatever it is. We'll link up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you for being a part of the podcast, being my first guest for the new season, which is great. We needed good motivation, especially coming into 2025. So I hope a lot
Yes.
of you guys got a lot of inspiration, good motivation out of this, and just something that's going to really get you going. So I thank you guys for watching the Passion Project. I am very grateful to be doing this again, and I hope you guys stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you're watching this off of YouTube, I'm gonna put all of this information in the description. If you're listening to this, go to YouTube so you can get all of his information. But yeah, thank you for being a part of the episode,
Thank you for
and
having
thank
me.
you guys for watching the Passion Project. I will see you guys on the next episode. Peace out.
Daniel's amazing. Don't forget it.